All right, welcome back to First Things First. Time now for a little Say What. Derrick Rose and his head coach, Ty Lue, apparently had a miscommunication during Friday's game. So Lue wanted Rose to sub in. Rose wasn't on the bench. Here's Rose defending his actions. Michigan State.
A lot of people hydrate, or yesterday when Lue won it, was one of the reasons Lue got mad at me yesterday because I was in the bathroom. I didn't know that he wanted me to come back into the game, so it was just miscommunication. But the way I think about it, when I say little things, guys are out there for 2 hours straight playing basketball for 2 hours and nobody take a bathroom break. For real, just think about it. It blows my mind, bro.
Okay, all the years that I've covered basketball, I've never even thought about the bathroom break situation during a game. You go when you have to go?
Well, I guess,
tell someone, maybe?
I mean, they do have halftime, so you really only have to last like an hour. Derrick Rose also, though, is known to actually go MIA. Like, so I don't blame Ty Lue for wondering, like, did Rose leave for a couple months again? What's happening? Where is he? So I feel like it's tougher for football players because you have all the uniform to deal with. But
go, man.
I'm not used to guys not being on the bench when their coach wants them on the bench.
What?
In athletic competition, guys use the bathroom an awful lot because you're taking in so much water, and also it's a way that it's a way to get rid of lactic acid. You either get through your pores and sweating, but also through your waste. By using the bathroom during competition, it gets rid of lactic acid and allows you to perform at a higher level. I used to use the bathroom all the time during the game.
So
sometimes in the bathroom, sometimes not.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing. Is football players
they have a bathroom very close because they have one for the referees, though.
It's right off the court.
Wait, so was he in the bathroom? Is that what we
I believe him.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's lying.
But from a performance standpoint, it's something you should add to your regimen.
It's a lactic acid note I didn't know about. Learn something new every day on this show.
Really?
There you go.
All right, time now for some stories to start your morning. Tiger Woods finished 72 holes in a tournament for the first time in over 2 years. He finished 3 under par, 7 strokes behind the leader. Said he was pain-free throughout the weekend. How impressed were you by Tiger's performance, CC?
I'm very impressed. This golf course he's very familiar with. He's had more wins on this golf course. There's 3 courses that he's had 8 wins on, but this is one of his favorites. This is the course he grew up on. As a little boy, man, he used to tote his bag up and down those hills. He knows the greens inside and out. Now, they've changed the course with a redesign, but he's very familiar there. But to be able to make the cut, because he had to make a couple birdies late on Friday to get into the weekend round, which gave him another 36 holes to work on. What do I need? How far the ball traveling? Because he's got his speed as far as swing speed, over 120 miles an hour, and he's got his power as far as distance. Now he just needs a little more accuracy. Right now he's hitting the left field, center field, and then the right field. He will get that part honed in. His putting and chipping is the Tiger Woods that won 14 majors. Well, it was that kind of good.
All right, if his putting and chipping in prime Tiger was a 99 out of 100, what you saw this week was a 92, somewhere like that. Very, very good. Not quite what it was, but that was the most encouraging part to you.
Yes.
Correct? The health, I guess, the getting through 72 holes, the health, having his back fused and being able to still play, like that's the big hurdle. But the CC is amazingly somehow a golf expert, and they're talking about
why is it amazing?
Yeah, why are you so surprised?
It's just a weird thing for you to be an expert.
I'm a 7 handicap.
Yeah, it's a weird thing for you to be an expert.
It's so weird for me to be good at something?
No, it's just a weird thing for you to be an expert in. That's all. It's just, I wouldn't have guessed.
A black guy can't talk about golf. Everybody else can talk about golf, but the brother can't talk about golf.
CC nailed it.
Yeah.
Fun game in the NBA.
Ever since I got to the NBA, I got every privilege, NFL, I got every privilege they was offering to you.
This was fun last night. It all started when Joel Embiid dunked all over Russell Westbrook and then stared him down. Westbrook got a little revenge with a dunk of his own, and then the ultimate revenge with a stare down at Embiid as time expired. That's intense. So Thunder won 122-112. It's very dramatic.
So good.
Nick, talk me through this.
I just loved all of it. That was as good of a dunk on a guy as we're going to have in the league all year.
No, Nick, you're not dunking on a guy if he don't jump.
Hey, guess what, CC? Here are the rules. If you're under the rim and you end up on your butt, you got dunked on.
I'm going to ask my NBA friends that, and they'll tell you.
Okay, well, I'm your best NBA friend, and they will tell you he was dunked on. And especially because there's history between the two guys. And then Russ's stare down at the end of the game while dribbling out the basketball was spectacular. I really like Embiid. Russ is one of my favorite players ever. This was a ton of fun last night, even if you think the stare down was funny. I loved it.
I mean, what's he going to do? Like, what's the stare down? Oh, he scared him. Oh, what's it like? What they going to do? They going to rumble or something? Like,
it's not always
the stare down.
Violence.
Well, what's it about then?
Just mano a mano, my team bested yours, and now you stared at me after you dunked on me. I'm getting the last stare down in. What's wrong with that?
Really petty.
All right.
Definitely petty, but an awesome petty.
Admittedly. Good news for the Patriots. Rob Gronkowski practiced twice over the weekend. He still, however, has not cleared the concussion protocol. CC, you say you're not worried. You still think he'll play on Sunday?
No, I'm not worried because he started the activities that when the doctor releases you to start driving. He started driving 5 days ago. And now he's been released to increase his cardio, because typically in the protocol, what you're worrying about once their heart rate begins to go up, then they start getting some dizziness, start having problems with light. So once you see them on the field, they've been allowed to advance in the program that they can get their heart rate up. So when you see them on the practice field actually running, you know that they're very, very close to being out of the protocol.
Also, given where he is in the protocol now, we do have reason to believe, if not know, that if this had happened in the divisional round, where you don't have 2 weeks between games, it could have kept him out for the week. But with the extra week before the Super Bowl, he should be able to play. He is, Chris Canty mentioned it earlier, the weakest spot on the Eagles' defense is their defense of tight ends. So he's a key player in every game, particularly in this one. I also expect him to play.
All right, finally, Tom Brady had those 12 stitches removed from his hand. There was never much doubt about him playing in the Super Bowl. And after being limited in practice on Thursday, Brady was a full participant on Friday. Chris Carter, should we expect Brady's hand to have any impact whatsoever in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, hell, he's going to have an impact on the Super Bowl. He's going to be carving them up, throwing the ball. I mean, he's holding the ball in his hand the whole time.
The injury to his hand.
There is no injury.
It's
they took
done
the
now.
stitches out.
That's the question.
I mean, the concern was last week, especially playing in the elements. And after I saw him warming up, and then Tony Romo did a great job of talking about how he went to the practice facility and was throwing the ball for over an hour, even before he came out and did his traditional warm-up. So it lets you know that he felt comfortable enough to be able to throw the ball that much. Because I thought the hand, if it had been closer to the top of the thumb, then I thought he might have a problem of potentially reopening the stitching. But it wasn't. It was closer to the bottom of the thumb and the palm of the hand. So when you actually are throwing a football, the top part of your thumb is on the ball. His hand is cut down here, so it was above where he was really gripping and releasing the ball. And when you throw the ball, your thumb, the top part, and your index finger throw the ball like that. So, no, I don't expect it to play a role in the Super Bowl. And in last week's game, after I saw him throwing, what I was more concerned about, could he reopen it when he landed?
When he landed, and that's why they were very cautious with him at practice last week, was while the way CC describes it, he wasn't going to reopen it by throwing the ball. If he bangs his hand on another player's helmet again, if he falls down, if it reopens, you then start the process over.
Right. Also, you have to watch the skin that's on your hand. It's like the skin on your feet. It's very, very tender, and it's slow to heal. One of the slowest healing parts of your body, so it takes some time.
So the fact that those stitches are removed, he now can practice fully, which is something he absolutely wants
golf
to do.
Skin expert.
Football golf skin expert. Weather. Don't forget weather.
Yeah, I use it when I have to.
Doppler.
Full disclosure, I'm really bad and squeamish with that kind of stuff.
Just stitches, Jim?
Just
Remind me to tell you the story about when the doctor left his stitch in my
I realize now as soon as I said it.
Didn't someone tell you that?
To the other side of this one Eagle we haven't discussed in a while. They couldn't get it. Somebody couldn't hold his bag. Come on. We haven't talked about Carson Wentz. This is ridiculous. He was the talk of the league and among the enemy. He's like limping down the stairs.
He's got a boot on.
He's still limping, holding that thing.
That's why he's limping. He's got a boot on.
Jenna said someone should hold his bag. Go ahead, Jenna.
He's among the MVP leaders when he went down with an ACL tear in Week 14. Let's watch it again. I was struggling with the bag. And watching from the sideline hasn't always been easy on the second-year quarterback. Take a listen.
There's that part of me, that human element that wants to be out there, without a doubt. As a competitor, I kind of set out with that and with this goal in mind to get here, and not only to get here, but to win this thing. And obviously, it looks different for me, but the team is still plugging along, and I couldn't be happier for them.
All right, what would it mean, CC, for Wentz if the Eagles win the Super Bowl without him?
That would mean a lot more pressure on him the rest of his career. If they win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, yeah, they got most of those wins with Carson Wentz, but the type of pressure, and you have to realize what the Philly fan base, it's not no normal fan base now. I mean, the word fan comes from derivative of the word fanatic. In Philadelphia, they got that thing on spades. All right? That's what they do. So I believe it would be harder for him if he doesn't. It was just like Phil Simms winning the Super Bowl with the Giants. If Hostetler had won that Super Bowl and Phil Simms hadn't won a Super Bowl, what would Phil Simms' career be?
If people don't know, so Phil Simms won the Super Bowl for the Giants in '86. Then in '90, Simms got hurt and Hostetler came in and won it. But Simms already had won a Super Bowl with the team, if people don't remember the history of it.
I just believe it's a lot more pressure put on him. I would like the organization to win. But for Carson Wentz in particular, it's not beneficial if the Eagles do win without him.
I'm going to take it a step further, and I don't know if you're going to like this, CC, but I would feel like if I'm the Eagles, given exactly what Chris said, that if Carson Wentz is healthy, which we don't know if he will be, but if he's healthy by training camp, I would have Nick Foles on the trade market. I wouldn't want Carson Wentz coming off an ACL, having the guy sitting behind him be the first quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl in the city. I understand. Now, you also, by the way, could probably get a lot for him if he does win the Super Bowl. But I think when Carson Wentz is the future of your franchise quarterback, the guy that was looking like the league MVP, to all of a sudden have the next game he plays, have the backup quarterback maybe be the most popular Eagle of all time, I think that's unfair.
Even if they win, Carson Wentz will not be the most popular.
No, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles. Okay. Nick Foles will not be the most popular, even if they win. They will find some other narrative, but it also, Howie Roseman, it speaks to the type of team he put on the field. It speaks to Doug Peterson, the type of coach that he is. The defense, we talk about Schwartz and that 7-man rotation. We will deflect from Nick Foles. Nick Foles played amazing last week, over 300 yards passing, but we gave a lot of credit to other people along the way. So I don't think it would be that extreme. I'm not going to trade him because he won the Super Bowl if I don't feel like that's the absolute best thing for my team. I know he's under more pressure, but moving him to another team does not relieve the pressure from Carson Wentz. Like, I would keep him right there. If it was the best thing for my team, I wouldn't trade him based on worrying about the feelings of my star quarterback.
The ham that CC's there, I just want to make clear. I was talking about trading Nick Foles. I'm talking about trading Carson Wentz. I don't want people to say wouldn't think we're talking about that. I just the extra burden on him. Go ahead.
I don't know. I have such a hard time. I mean, the Philadelphia didn't want Nick Foles even when he was their quarterback. I mean, we saw what he did in those couple of games before last week's game. I mean, he was just struggling to find, and he had one good game, and all of a sudden the conversation turns very quickly to, hey, if Carson Wentz isn't ready to go, maybe he loses this job if Foles plays well in the Super Bowl?
I don't know. No, I don't think it's that he loses the job. I think it's the added. You talk all the time about.
He got a better chance of losing his leg.
I mean,
he's gonna have to carry 3 people's bags.
Jenna, you talk all the time about the Philly fans, the Philly media, how it's a particular market, and you talk all the time about the players being asked about something, about distractions, about things like that. The point that I'm making is, if the guy sitting behind you has won the biggest game in franchise history, and it's not a situation where you've won one of them as well. In fact, it's a situation where you've never even played in a playoff game. I think that could be hard for any quarterback to deal with. I understand Chris's point that if you have 2 good quarterbacks or at least a competent backup, you don't want to move them unless you get a great value. I get all of that. I just think it's a lot of added pressure, as you mentioned.
It's not added pressure with a guy being there that's not as talented as you. I mean, these NFL players, they don't think like that. Like, the day that Carson got hurt, you said their season's over. I'm not trying to bring up that point, but
no,
you talked about the difference in their talent level.
Totally agree.
So what changed?
Well, I don't. Then if you don't agree with me, then I'm a little confused on what you said at the beginning. Because at the beginning of something you said, if they win, so flush it out for me so I better understand.
No. As an organization, they won a Super Bowl without you. It lets you know they have a great team around them. So their expectation for Carson Wentz would be to win a Super Bowl, like to finish out what he started in the 2017 season. Those would be the normal goals for someone who is a star like Carson Wentz.
So that expectation and that pressure doesn't change no matter who is backup quarterback.
Nick Foles, we're not worried about Nick Foles. Like, as a professional, you don't worry about guys like him. Like, you don't get concerned. You don't get to where you are and be worrying about people like Nick Foles. I think that's a non-issue.
All right, coming up, are we starting to take Steph for granted? I'm going to ask her. Let me ask her.
No, not Steph Goss.
Oh.
Steph Curry.
My bad. You should have mentioned that. That's next on First Things First. And as we go to break, it turns out that Carson Wentz had to carry everybody's bag down the step, not just his with that gimpy leg. Can you carry me also?